Hello out there, and welcome to the debut of the Adam Jones podcast, of course, presented by the Baltimore Banner, thebaltimorebanner.com. I'm Jerry Coleman. He's, of course, Adam Jones, or maybe it's
one of these directions.
Yeah. We are brought to you by our friends over at Jack Daniels. Yes, there's a lot of ways to make whiskey, folks, but there's only one way to make Jack Daniels. Make it count, Jack Daniels. Please drink responsibly. Adam's already ready. Also, by Be More Around Town and BeMoreAroundTown.com, they have the ultimate pregame purple tailgate experience, whether it be for a Ravens home game like this Sunday against the Browns or when they travel to Tampa in a couple of weeks. BeMoreAroundTown.com is there. And by G-Leaf, medical marijuana dispensary. Hey, you play tennis like me. You want to cure the pain with the CBD? There's no better place than gleaf.com. Check out their free home delivery for orders of at least $100 or more. They have two locations, one in Frederick, the other in Rockville, gleaf.com. Folks, some quick backgrounds about yours truly and Adam Jones. Adam, you want to start and just tell everyone about yourself, or should they just flip over your baseball card?
Well, that would be a lot quicker if they just Googled me. But no, Adam Jones, obviously, some people say I'm a Baltimore legend. I just say that I was a guy that came through there and played his ass off, changed the culture a little bit, but just embraced the culture, embraced the city. And obviously born and raised in San Diego, California. I love the warm weather, but a lot of my heart is still in Baltimore. As everyone knows, my extended family is there. So I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to talk more about Baltimore sports. Obviously, you know, our crowd is Baltimore. So it's great to officially just, you know, be back talking about them after, you know, my playing career is done. So it's great to get back and get back on the saddle and talk sports.
This is going to be awesome. And the third member will be along a little bit later. We call him the judge. He is Reggie Fugit. He is behind the scenes right now, our senior executive producer as well. I myself have been broadcasting in Baltimore before Adam got there. I'm a little bit older than Adam, if not a lot. So 30 plus years, going back to everything from Cal's 2-1, 3-1 to the Ravens Super Bowl wins, most recently over at the Fan in Baltimore. But now doing this podcast, and very happy that the Baltimore Banner and the BaltimoreBanner.com is all behind it. So let's get to it. Our opening segment, For the Birds. And we're talking about the Ravens, Adam. Let's discuss what's coming up after really a bad loss to the Giants. We're starting to see a lot of the same things in terms of penalties. Lamar has been up and down. Right now, they are 3-3. It is tied for first place in the AFC North. And it will take on a divisional opponent in the Browns come Sunday. They're already 1-0 in the division, but just 1-2 at home. So I think this is a pretty darn big game for this team, especially after a disheartening loss in New Jersey.
I mean, incredibly big game. They played okay. Yeah, obviously they would love to be 4-2. You got to give the Giants some credit also. They are playing a lot better football. They're doing what the Giants should do, run the ball. But, you know, I think the Ravens got to get back to that too. You know, I know Lamar is sitting in the pocket, he's throwing a little bit more, as you can see. But their offense is dynamic, and that man has to be put out and utilized. You got to utilize those legs. But I mean, obviously his arm is great too, great arm talent that they never want to speak of. But big win this week. You need a big win because 3-4 is a lot different, and then you're setting yourself up with like everybody else. I think you can separate yourself this week, and you're at home. The Browns is they're not all that good. It's going to be good weather in Baltimore, hopefully. So I just hope that the Ravens come out, punch them in the mouth, and get this win, and focus on next Thursday, because it's going to be a quick turnaround for them.
Yeah, they have the Buccaneers after that, but with the Browns, no Deshaun Watson, he remains suspended. Jacoby Brissett is having his problems. The Browns have lost 3 straight. They got whipped by the Patriots last week. But Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, as good a duo in the backfield they have in the NFL. Myles Garrett coming at Lamar, Denzel Ward in the secondary. They got some playmakers.
Very true.
Good news with the Ravens, though, is they're on the verge of having Gus Edwards back. It looks like Tyus Bowser is on his way back. It may not be for this week, but they are getting healthier. But they are missing Rashad Bateman right now, and that's one of Lamar's biggest weapons.
Yeah, the first couple games, you can just see the connection. Bateman go up top. Obviously, you got Andrews coming underneath. It's just fun. It's fun to watch their offense. And like I said, when it comes to sports, injuries are so important, and obviously there's always that next man up mentality, which you just have to have because some guy's going to get an opportunity. But when you lose your big guys, a lot of things get out of sync and get out of whack. So, and when teams have injuries, you see how it affects everything, and it's going to be good to have him back, to have Bateman back. I'm waiting for Big Stanley to come back, and it's like this is the part. This is the first half of the season is almost reached, and you've seen who is who, what's going to be, and then you get the second half, and that's when you really have to buckle down.
Well, they have had their way with the Browns. John Harbaugh, since he took over this team, 23-5 against Cleveland. They split their 2 games last year. Remarkably, the game they won in Baltimore, Lamar threw 4 interceptions. They still were able to come out with the victory there. And we'll see what Cleveland's able to do without Deshaun Watson. But the Ravens can't afford to go 1-3 at home after these brutal collapses in the fourth quarter against both Miami and Buffalo, AJ.
And to that, everybody's 23-5 against the Browns. You know what I mean? Everybody is. I don't think it was a tweet that they had that it was since Twitter started in 2006. It was the first time they could ever tweet we're 1-0 because they haven't had a win since 2006 to start the season. So everybody just beats them down. But yeah, there's been some fourth quarter collapses. I mean, you call it what it is. You have to give credit. Obviously, you have to give credit to the other teams for putting that pressure on. But when you're up by 20. You can't relinquish that. You have to, buckle down. And I think offensively to that, you have to keep the foot on the pedal because, if you just start to slow down offensively, then, your defense is on the field a little bit more. They might be a little bit more tired. I think that, I always say, why do they slow down? Now in college, you're going to see some 60-point games. Again, it's a little harder to score 60 in the NFL, but I don't know why teams don't try and score 35, 40, 42. That's like, it's okay to beat somebody bad. I don't it's okay. In baseball, when they stop at 10-0, they don't be like, let's just call it a game. Nah, they try to score at 15.
Well, that's one of the messages for the Ravens this week from their coaches, finish, because too many fourth quarter collapses. They also are not getting much production from the wide receiver core against the Giants, just 5 catches for 45 yards from that group. That's not good enough. But the penalties, the drops, there's some other things going on in terms of turnovers. I don't know how much of that you can place on the coaching staff and how much lies on the shoulders of the players. You as a former player know that. If there's a screw up in baseball, I don't know if always you can point to the manager. If a guy misses a sign or runs past a stop sign, that's on the player.
Facts, big facts. I mean, Buck would always say he never got mad at the physical part of it. You know what I mean? The physical part, like you're going to miss a ball, you're going to strike out, you're going to swing at this. Like, that's physical. But the mental side of it, that's why if you know him, he's always prepared. And the coaching staff is supposed to put you in the best position possible to succeed. After that, it's up to you. They call the play, and then they sit there and they watch the play. They don't, they can't, their days are over of being players. So the responsibility, once that play is in, the responsibility is when that 15 seconds goes off in that quarterback's head, it's up to you. When I get into the box, it's up to me. When the basketball player's on the court, it's up to him. It's a timeout. That's the coach's opportunity to put them in a best situation for the next play that's about to happen. And personal responsibility. That's why I love sports too, is because people take accountability. It's like they dropped the ball. Hey, I dropped it. I wanted to catch it, obviously, but I dropped it. And when you have accountability from players, the fans love it, and they'd be like, "Look, I can ride with this dude." But the second you make excuses, fans don't appreciate that because they didn't pay their hard-earned money, and they ain't trying to hear no damn excuses.
Well, Sunday is going to be rocking downtown. Not only will the Ravens be taking on the Browns, Be More Around Town will be there as well, but also they're celebrating their 2012 Super Bowl team on Sunday, a team I covered to the very end, a team you followed and took along that journey with. We got a great pick. Or at least I tried to arrange that great pick with you and Michael Phelps on the sideline at Foxborough. You went all the way to New Orleans with that team. That was Ray Lewis's last ride, and it turned out to be a joyous one.
That was amazing, and it was just the 2012 season was great. I signed my long-term deal. We got into the playoffs. I know we lost to the Yankees, but we got into the playoffs first time in 15 years. Yeah. There was just buzz going around baseball, and then going into the football season. Like the Ravens had a great year. Joe going into his walk year, and it was just great energy. And I remember we came back from the Yankee series, and there was a playoff game against the Colts, and I'm like, let's go to the game. And then I was in San Diego. I was like, they're in Denver. So me and my boy, we went to the game. And then we had a fan fest. And I'm like, I'm just in, obviously doing scheduling. And I'm like, dude, let's get a plane and let's go up to Foxborough. And we did, like 6 of us went up there. The Ravens were awesome the whole entire time with getting us tickets. And we got up there and, they won. And they was like, yeah, come down with us. And I'm like, dude, got to go in the club, the locker room after the game. I've been an athlete myself. I let them celebrate, give them their distance because it's a big win. You're not supposed to win there in January. You don't win in Foxborough. That's a really tough place. And
it lost there the year before.
Exactly. And the Lee Evans, still got people hot. But then I went to the Super Bowl, and that's the one where my wife was like, I'm coming to this one. So she didn't want to do none of the hard leg work, sitting 9 degrees in Denver. She didn't want to sit in 35 degrees in Foxborough, but you go to the Superdome, have some beignets, and we had such a good time at the Super Bowl. And it was a great game. Obviously, the Ravens were able to pull that off. And it was, for me, being around Ray Lewis and obviously, knowing what he's done for the game of football and just obviously the talent that he is, the superstar, it was great to be around him. Obviously, I'm good friends with Torrey Smith. And just seeing these guys' journeys, man, because on my side, I was excited that we got this far in the playoffs. And hopefully we're starting this new rebuild of talent, and we did. We had a 5-year stretch, but watching them, seeing that just like that dynasty, him, Ed Reed, it was special to me.
It was an amazing ride, and we'll relive it and celebrate it this weekend. All right, to the Orioles, and our For the Birds conversation is brought to you by Be More Around Town. Again, they have the ultimate all-inclusive pregame purple tailgate experience. Every home game, every away game, for the Browns game Sunday, open bar, all you can eat, mouth-watering barbecue. Oof. And also for the Ravens Browns, they're going to feature a live concert from local band Bond and Bentley. Special guest Jacoby Jones celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Super Bowl 47. And ain't no party like a Jacoby Jones party. I can attest to that. So be more around town. BeMoreAroundTown.com. Let them host you on the road or at home before every Ravens game. To the Orioles. And the way the year concluded for this team, very impressive. I don't know of many who had this team above 500 finishing in that fashion, especially after the way things transpired this year, Adam, with John Means going down early. Then they trade away Mancini and Lopez, and they continue to persevere and win. Remarkable season.
It all started the day that they called up Adley Rutschman. That day, it changed. I don't know who it changed, what it changed. It changed the mindset. I mean, he's a leader. It's clear as day that he is a bona fide leader. And I enjoy watching him play. Like, those are guys that you want to play with because you know what he's going to bring every day. He's a leader. Just simple as that. And that's a talent you really can't teach. So, once they called him up, it solidified the catching. You just got a lot of other guys. You got Mullins, who's, a little bit older than some of the guys. So him as being one of the older guys, Hayes being there for 3 or 4 years now. You got some guys who are young, but still some older guys and still got something to prove. Every single day you watch the game, you can see that they're playing like, hey, I want to play because I want to play tomorrow. It's a sense of urgency, but also a sense of we're good. Also, we can play with these guys. Okay, when I got first got to Baltimore, the Yankees, Red Sox was beating our brains in, but like the mentality of the guys was like, dang, the Yankees here. Like, I'm a little timid of them. Like, why? What are you scared of Mariano for? I mean, he's gonna get you out, but you ain't gotta be scared to get out. But you see that how they play the game. They play with their hair on fire. So dynamic. Mullins and Mateo 1 and 2 in stolen bases. They did all the things that I wish we were doing back then. And they just play an exciting, dynamic game of baseball. They're not the highest average hitting team, but average in baseball is not high anyway. But they create excitement. I watched so many games, and the first 6 innings, you're like, ooh, damn, that's some funny looking baseball. Them last 9 outs, they don't give 9 out. The last 9 outs, they don't give those away. And coming out the bullpen, you got obviously, I mean, Lopez started it off, but Bautista coming out to Omar, and just a lot of other guys. You got guys coming out that pen, and I can't name them all. You got guys coming out there pen throwing mid upper 90s with something like Baker. I know that name. He got because he came from Toronto and like coming up and into them dudes. Like you have to have that. You have to have that in baseball. If you don't have that, like everybody knows you throw 100, but if it's just middle away all day, they're gonna jump on you. They turn that fastball around like nothing. But you have to have a little bit of edge, and you see that. They got some effectively wild guys, and that right there can really help you out. And you see, they were able to scratch out some games, get some really, really good teams, and hopefully this offseason they're able to improve their roster a little bit. But at the same time, they're going to have guys with a year of understanding in the major leagues how to get it done. And I just think that they can be better next year because some teams are going to lose players. The Red Sox are going to lose players. The Yankees are going to lose players. The Orioles aren't going to really lose players.
No, they won't. They have some great bargains going on right now on that team, and that's a big question that leads us into the next topic, the offseason priorities. I would think starting pitching is right up there, but will they be able to spend the money? There's some messy situations going on within the family and the ownership group. You still have the Masson lawsuit out there. I frankly am skeptical this team is going to be spending money and improving this team significantly dollars-wise. Maybe they can make a deal.
That's true. I mean, they are going to be looking for a deal. That's just what it is. That's how payroll is going to have to work. I don't know the books. I don't know how much money they are going to have available. Like you mentioned, a lot of lawsuits and the stuff going on behind the scenes. Elias came out and said that he wants to spend this offseason, so it'd be great. The fans need it. I remember when we spent money. When we spent money on. People didn't like it. I mean, they didn't like how it turned out. But when we spent money on Ubaldo and Cruz and Cobb and like how they open up the books. Now, all the deals, they don't work out. All the deals don't work out. But it's still excitement from the fan base. It's like, hey, the ownership wants to make the fan base happy by signing a guy and like making our team better. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But the excitement of the chase is what I believe the fans really, really enjoy. So I hope that they're involved in a lot of conversations with guys. And I think a real good guy is to bring it back is Lyles. I mean, he's not the top, ace on staffs, but the guy 8 innings, almost to 180 innings. Like he after coming off a couple bad years in Texas, like he 8 innings, and I'm sure he taught those guys like just to persevere in this game. You can get these guys out. You can attack Aaron Judge. You don't have to be afraid of him because he's a big boy and trying to hit the ball outside the stadium. You still can, compete at this level. And it was just fun, obviously playing against him, but it was fun to see how he just led the staff over there with a lot of young guys and seeing Rougned Odor talking to the Latin guys. And like, I know he was in Mateo's ear trying to make him better, make him an aggressive player. And just like, look, you get an opportunity to play, show that talent. You're going to play shortstop every single day because you're a hell of a shortstop. And, you can play this game. And when you have veterans like that, that makes the game a little bit easier. Still hard, but it makes it a tad bit easier.
I'm Jerry Coleman. He's Adam Jones. You're listening and watching to the Adam Jones podcast presented by the Baltimore Banner. All right, let's get to the elephant in the room. It's over there. Your departure from the Orioles franchise. You vetoed a trade to the Phillies back in September of 2018 because you, quote, wanted to maintain your stock into free agency. That team finished with just 43 wins. What's the real story behind all this? How long did this attempt to try and wheel and deal you to Philly go on for? And were there other teams? Take us behind the scenes, please.
That's a good question. I just remember Dan bring me into the office and was like, yeah, but it was like July 27th or something. And it's like, yeah, the Phillies have interest. You have interest in, Philly has interest in you. I'm like, okay. My whole thing was, why not come to me July, mid-June? You knew where the season was headed. July 1st. Still knew where the season was headed. At the All-Star break, you still can be like, hey, look, if there's interest, would you be willing to go? So that I can mentally prepare for that also. But if you're giving me 4 days to make a decision, immediately I'm guarded. Like, no, like what? Because, I didn't understand. It's my first time. I got traded when I was with Seattle, but that's completely out of my control. This is in my control. Mm-hmm. And so for the next few days, I was talking to Victorino heavily about it, like just texting back and forth, like, look, what would be the plan if I was accepted trade over there? And he told me that the plan would be for me to platoon and right with Nick Williams, who was obviously one of their top prospects. And I'm like, so get traded and go play, get traded and go to a new ballpark and then go play a different position. Right. And platoon. And I'm like, hell no. Like, but we talked for 3 days, over 3 days about it. And I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. For me, it doesn't make sense. I'm going to probably lose 100 at bats. So I talked to Buck about it, and I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna accept it. And I remember vividly. I took a helicopter in from the Hamptons because we had an off day, and I get to New York, Yankee Stadium, and I felt like Will Smith when he walked in. With like everybody was gone. I knew Manny was already gone 2 weeks prior. Then you got Scope, O'Day, Gosman, just gone, and I'm just like, well, damn, this is weird. But I look back on it and I'm like, I think it was the right decision. In hindsight, I would have loved to obviously stay and, I got a 1 year, $3 million deal with the Diamondbacks the year after, which I'm still wondering, like, how didn't I get maybe a 2 year deal? Like I proved that I was healthy. I played the most games in that entire decade. But probably other stuff behind the scenes that, people didn't like, but, just that whole thing. The fans really, some were behind me in it when I just was like, nah, it wasn't the best move for me. People were like, oh, you're being selfish. You should, do what's best for the organization. I'm like, what? When has a business ever done what's best for you?
You earned the right to veto
I
that.
earned the right. I earned the right to veto trade. It just wasn't a good trade for me. And people's like, you should have done this, and you could have, got us back a prospect. You're getting back 3 fungos in a box of baseballs. Not getting anything for me. Okay, it's a salary dump. That's all it was. And I was like, no, I got the opportunity to be here. I'm gonna finish my contract out. Our team sucks, but there's some guys who got some promise. We called up Mullins. We called up Hayes. You got to see some guys just get an opportunity, and it was a good transition to giving Mullins the power in center field. And it was just I got to do something on my own terms in sports, and the 98% of the athletes don't ever get to do it. They always are, if you're traded, like Hosmer. Hosmer was like a week away from his 10-5. You traded him. Like, there's things in this game that you don't take for granted. And the 10-5, as you know, in baseball, is the strongest weapon you can have. And once I got it, they knew that. And if they just came to me early, I think it could have been a completely different situation, and I probably would have left and probably would have accepted a trade if they said, "Look, Adam's available," and that would have been weird to go to another team. But that's how the sport works. But they didn't give me enough time to really process it. And then when I found out how it would be on the other side, I'm like, there's not that didn't work for me. And then so me personally, I have no animosity towards the Orioles it's business. How I left, it's business. And in baseball, in sports, in life, not sometimes you agree with the business, sometimes you don't. But I'm never going to badmouth an organization because they took a kid from Southeast San Diego, and all the experiences that I have now is because of what I'll work my ass off for it, but the opportunity that the Angelos gave me. So it'd be moronic for me to ever be like, oh, badmouth them, badmouth that. No, they gave me an opportunity. They gave me a little bit of pocket change that I'm able to travel the world with my family, and I got an opportunity. It was a blessing. Now it was business, and I think people just didn't like how I left because of the impact that I had, the community on the field. Like it was a big impact that I did have, and you can definitely tell it was a void when I left.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people are wondering, and you sort of just explained it, the state of the relationship between you and the ball club right now. Is there a relationship? I remember when they had the 30-year anniversary of Camden Yards this past season, an Orioles official came up to me and wanted me to know that they had extended an invite for you to attend that occasion. I don't know if it truly was extended or not. Maybe you can verify that and dignify why you decided not to attend. And what will it take you to come back inside that ballpark, maybe?
Well, I don't have a relationship with him. It's crazy when they were doing the combine. I was feet away from Elias, but he's very busy. Obviously, you're at the combine; he's there for a specific reason. But no, no one's reached out to me through the organization about being in the organization or anything. I got an email from Bill Stecta about throwing out a first pitch, something, and I believe I got busy about it, but I'm not coming all the way out there to throw out a first pitch. I think there's something that can be worked out. Obviously, the impact is great. That I was there again. It was great. The 30th, it was weird. And my whole thing about the whole 30th thing is, why am I the only one that people are like talking, singling out of, like, why I wasn't there? Like, where was Markakis at? Where was Hardy at? Where was Weeders at? These are guys that were great impacts. I don't know if B-Rob was there. Like, where are these impactful guys that were also a part of the organization? I'm definitely not the only one, and I had help being successful there. So I don't know why I'm the only one singled out. But there was a lot of guys that weren't there. I talked to Andino. He said it was a great time. And, I didn't personally want to take away from what's going on with the players, because they were playing. They were in the midst of just an incredible run, and I didn't want to bother anybody with that. So just let them have it. I think that later there can be something else done. But that was for them. It wasn't about me. So that's that.
We'll give it another try in 5 years for the 35th.
Yeah. For 35th, yeah. We'll see if
right.
we can do it again.
All right, moving on. It is time for the Adam Jones Weekly Rant. It's called Heckle D's, and it's brought to you by, yes, Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels.
And this is where Adam chooses something every week to rant about. Today, Adam's going to vent about the connotations of Baltimore as someone, as he mentions, who travels the world in and out of Baltimore. What's the reputation, good and bad? Before we begin, though, it's brought to you by Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels has always made whiskey. We know that. And if they have their way, they always will. But there's one thing Jack can't make more of: moments. And those are all on us to create. So Adam's going to create a few moments with Jack Daniels after this podcast. Make it count, Jack Daniels. Please drink responsibly. Tennessee whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniels Distillery, of course, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniels and Old Number 7 are registered trademarks. Okay, Adam, as a world traveler, put the bottle down for just a second and talk about the connotations just for a second, and explain the connotations and stereotypes you've encountered with Baltimore's reputation as you go around the world. The floor is yours.
I mean, obviously, let's be honest. When I first got to Baltimore, 2008, The Wire just completed. They had a nickname called Bodymore. I just was living downtown. I had no idea what was really going on. I'm novice to the city. Go 10 years later, 11 years later into the city. I knew where everything was. I knew where all the great food places was. I knew where the restaurants was. I knew where to stay away from. Living out in the county, beautiful sprawled out lands, beautiful sprawled out estates and all that out there. But every time I mentioned to somebody, oh, I play for the Orioles, they're like, oh, that's good. Like, how dangerous was it in the city? How were you scared? Were you scared walking around? I'm sitting there like, I'm scared to walk around downtown? No, not really. There's good food places here. I still think on our whole circuit, I put Baltimore up there with food. I mean, amazing food. And people always just think that it's a dangerous city. And of course, there's dangers. There's dangers. There's shootings going on. There's these young kids. I don't know what's going on with the youth. It is scary. Mr. Fugit, he deals with that stuff a lot. I don't know what's going on, but that's in every single city in America. San Diego, I love this city. I love being from San Diego. And people always, oh, what a beautiful city. Everybody mentions La Jolla Del Mar. No, things happen. We got a thing called 40 Days, 40 Nights, and it is not fun. It's not pretty, okay? So people need to stop just talking about the negatives of Baltimore. Talk about the positives. Talk about the food. Talk about the history. There's so many museums. Talk about the Reggie F. Lewis Museum. There's so many really good qualities about Baltimore that they just lose because the first thing everybody talks about, the murders. But when they mention Chicago, they say, oh, I can go to Chicago. I can do it because the murders are over here. I can go to Chicago. Same as in Baltimore. Murders are over there. Go out, go to Baltimore, get some crabs. I don't mess with the crabs like that. They try to throw them on me too much, but go to Abbey Burger. That's my spot. And I just tell people, the food is bomb and the people are really good. It's a tough city. It's a hard-nosed city. They love their sports. They love hardworking people. And that's why I think I fit in. They know I'm not better than nobody. I'm just here to play hard and eat alongside you.
All right. Well said. That is brought to you by Jack Daniels. Drink responsibly and make it count. And Adam will. We'll make the transition from that Heckle D's ran into our Baltimore athlete spotlight. It's courtesy of Varsity Sports. So each week on this podcast, folks, Adam and I are going to highlight a Scholastic athlete provided by the Varsity News Network, where their team of award-winning staff reporters and freelance contributors cover Maryland high school sports. And our first athlete is Calvert Hall senior midfielder Ben Medore. Ben is a senior midi for Calvert Hall, which is the #1 ranked soccer team in the Baltimore Banner, Varsity Sports Network top 15. He just had a huge week to help keep the Cardinals undefeated in a 5-1 victory over #2 John Carroll. Scored twice, added a helper. Also followed up that performance with a pair of goals in the Cardinals win over Ohio powerhouse St. Ignatius last Saturday. That game was in Cleveland. And these teams are traveling all around the country right now. Medore has committed to play at Penn State next year, already has 11 goals and 13 assists this season. And congratulations, first of all, to Ben, Adam. But as someone who has been watching soccer all over the world, you have an appreciation for the sport, don't you?
Oh, big appreciation for it. And my youngest son plays it. It is so tough to play. Well, I call it football now because that's all you say soccer, they're like, oh, you're American. But no, it's a tough sport. And, you know, it's people say it's not contact, but no, they're hitting each other. It's the footwork. I went to the game, Inter Milan in Barcelona, literally last week. And just watching these guys move, they're so fast, they're agile. And then watching them practice, watching the preparation. That's my biggest thing when it comes to sports is watching the preparation. I want to see the kid practice. Obviously, the goals, and that's a result of all his hard work. But I'm sure in practice, he's even more of a beast because he knows he wants to get after it. And like I said, I love that how we're going to highlight different athletes that aren't getting the major national publicity. These are guys that are local. These are guys that we need to talk about and that I think the whole city needs to be knowing more about.
Well, congratulations to Ben and Calvert Hall Soccer, our Baltimore athlete spotlight, courtesy of Varsity Sports. All right, let's travel Baltimore and beyond. Each week on the podcast, we're going to talk about some of the national issues going on around the country outside of B-More, whether it be baseball, the NFL, NBA, etc. This week, we're going to focus on the MLB playoffs. And as far as I know, there's one ex-Oriole still very prominently involved, and that is one Manny Machado, a guy who you basically helped raise as an Oriole. Let me know if I'm missing anyone else out there, but we're down to 4 teams.
Right. I'm trying to think of any, but no, it's really just him. And dude, it's so fun to see him. It's so fun to be around him right now. He's the leader of that team. I remember him coming in, bright and wide old ears, and just like, hey, you know. We knew the new kid was coming. We knew it, and he brought so much energy. And then getting to see what he does now with these kids, just leading these guys, and you know he's doing something that's very special, and it's special to me too because I'm from here. I grew up watching here, and when I was at the game the other night when they clinched against the Dodgers, I felt like a 13-year-old all over again watching the '98 Padres beat the Braves and then get to the World Series. So there's a lot of emotions that personally, because obviously the city of San Diego needs this, but for him to be leading it is really fulfilling for me because I know him great. I can reach out to him at any time, and I know what he's doing for this community and this city is nothing but greatness. A lot of people, my friends around town, they love what he brings, the energy that he brings, and away from the game also, he's implemented himself, him and his wife, into the community. So it's great to see the full maturation of him. And he said a couple of weeks ago, or at the All-Star break, he's like, I'm finally able to just go out and play baseball. I'm not worried about all these different things anymore. I'm worried about playing the game. He's 30 now, and it's coming full circle for him. And it's great to watch him be a leader at the end of the day.
Well, he got that contract, and I know people love to bring up those 330 million reasons he has to bring a championship to San Diego for sure. We also omitted Trey Mancini, and that's on me.
Oh, that's big time, bro.
Yeah, obviously, 2 of your former teammates very much still alive, and Trey's got a chance in Houston.
Big time. I mean, Houston, obviously, right now, I believe, are the favorites. They were top 3 favorites going into the league, if not the season, if not number 1 and 2 with the Dodgers. So Boom Boom's got something to. He's got an opportunity to be in some really, really important games. He didn't play any with us and in any big games with us, but now he has an opportunity to do something special. And I know that he's excited about it. I mean, I've texted him a few times, and he's just excited about being in Houston. Loves Dusty Baker, who's just one of the best human beings, and he's surrounded by some true pros over there. You got Michael Brantley, who's one of my favorite guys in the whole game of baseball. Obviously, gets to play behind Verlander, who is going to the Hall of Fame. And no, it's exciting that Boom Boom is still in it, and it'd be great if it was Padres Houston, and you got two guys that played against each other going for a ship. And logistically, it's like 2.5-hour flight opposed to going all the way to New York.
Yeah, for you, it's going to be a lot easier travel. I'd be all for that. And since you mentioned your travel, you have this gig with Major League Baseball, and you're going to be traveling to the League Championship Series along with the World Series. Go ahead and expand on what your role is if you can, because I have no idea what it is. Are you just kissing babies and shaking hands?
Hey, I am doing that to the max. I am kissing babies, shaking hands, doing it all. But I'm more of an ambassador role. It's not something specific. I'm just more of an ambassador role there just to make sure that things are running smoothly, talk to guys, and just smile and just be a part of it. Enjoy the ride. I think Major League Baseball values myself and values the respect that a lot of other players have given me and shown me. I think I've earned that from a lot of guys, and they want to just take advantage of it. And honestly, I think it's great. I think it's good to stay relevant. A lot of guys told me, like, you want to retire. I know that, people want to get away from the game a little bit, but you need to stay in the game and stay relevant a little bit, especially if you want to somehow down the road be involved, because it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. So when the opportunity arose from CC Sabathia to work with the commissioner side, I was like, okay, hey, it's a great opportunity for me to do a lot of side projects. This is fun. The All-Star game, spring training, and doing the playoffs. This stuff is awesome. But the cool things is like going to Germany and watching the qualifiers on behalf of Major League Baseball, going and doing the all the different initiatives that they have throughout the Americas and throughout the world. They have a MLB Europe group. So I'm just going to be just trying to submerge myself in different parts and just try to help the game grow. I'm not here to try and reinvent the wheel. I'm just here to offer a little bit of the expertise that I have, that the big dogs pass down to me. It's my turn to pass down that information to the next kettle.
All right, Ambassador Adam Jones from
That's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, a quick mention. Typically at this time, each week on the podcast, we will have a featured guest. We decided to go without a guest this week because we had so much to get off our chests. And I know you're working on our first guest for our first episode. Have you secured that person just yet?
I have secured him. It will be none other than Mr. Torrey Smith.
Really?
So, yes. So we will be able to talk about the Ravens. Obviously, his expertise in that it supersedes mine by such
Torrey was
amount.
on that Super Bowl winning team 10 years
Yep.
ago. Former
Exactly.
Terps.
So it'll be good to talk football with him on his terms, and because generally when we speak about baseball, so it'd be good to interview him on football and what he sees, because he sees the game a lot differently than me and you, Jerry. Okay, let's be honest, he sees it way differently than me and you. You see the game. I don't know how you even see the game.
Sometimes with one eye closed, but that'll transition into what could be my favorite portion of this podcast. It's the Jerry versus Jones debate, not to be confused with the Cowboys owner. We won't even mention his name, but each week, Adam and I, we come from different perspectives. Me as a member of the media, Adam actually played the game. I just talk about it, eat hot dogs and drink free Cokes in the press box. But we will get a little heated at times, and this is where we bring in the judge himself, Reggie Fugit. He will be the arbiter and render.
Hear ye. Reel it in, guys. We're going to have to reel it in.
All right.
We're going to have a civil debate here. Civil debate.
Very civil. And we've decided as our topic du jour this week, it's still a topic all around Baltimore, and that's Lamar Jackson's contract. We're going to debate whether or not he should have signed that contract and gotten it done, or keep the gamble going. And I'm just going to open and say that right now he isn't doing too much to help his cause. He got off to a pretty decent start, last couple of games, I think he's regressed. If he wants to be the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, he's got to cut down on the turnovers. And right now, I would say by his standards, he's having a slightly above average year, especially in the first 3 quarters. He's been outstanding, but it's a 4-quarter game. And almost half of their drives in the 4th quarter already this year have ended with Lamar turning the ball over. I mean, he's got 4 interceptions. He's got a fumble. He had only a half dozen 4th quarter interceptions in his first 4 seasons. So I wonder if he's feeling the pressure on the fact that he's gambling on himself. He's got his lowest completion percentage and lowest yards per pass attempt since his rookie year. Again, it's only 6 games, but if we judge off this small sample size, he's not helping his cause. And this is where I think an agent would have helped. I understand where veterans like Richard Sherman, Grant Hill in the NBA would hire lawyers or just negotiate the contracts themselves. I think that's a very savvy move. I don't think that's a smart move for your first ever contract, Adam.
I think with this, we go with the contract. I believe that he knows, and he has a team around him that knows that the TV deal is coming up. And when the TV deal comes up, that means what? Money has to be flown out more. So for him to take $40 million guaranteed right now a year would probably leave 15, maybe potentially 10 to 15 million on the table. And I believe he knows that. So that whole contract thing, that I believe it's TV money that they're paying attention to. And you know, we were talking about this just personally after week 2, and we kept going back and forth like, damn, he's about to get he's betting on himself. We love it. I'm going to say that he's doing an Aaron Judge this year. Aaron Judge started out a little slow, and then bam, we're talking about it. He's betting on himself, and then obviously getting to 62. Lamar, he's still in first place. They need to just get in the playoffs, and they need to dominate the playoffs. They need to win. They need to at least get to the NFC or the AFC championship game, because obviously getting to the playoffs in Baltimore and winning in the playoffs is of utmost is expected. You know, it's not just, we're having a good record. No, Baltimore expectations is to get to the playoffs and to win actually in the playoffs. So that's going to be obviously biggest thing. For him to feel the pressure, I don't think he probably does, because there's no need for him to pressure. He's got the tag for next year, for 2 years, honestly. I just think that he needs to get his guys healthy. When he had all his guys healthy, he was delivering good balls. They were catching them. Now, like we talked earlier, when you don't have your guys that you've been training camp, your first team, now you're switching to the second and third team. Again, next guy up mentality, but the routes is different. The cuts are different. The timing is different. And you can see with some of the throws that the timing is different. The only time the timing ain't different is when it's hitting Andrews. So I just think they got to get the guys back healthy and relieve a little bit of pressure from them. And I think that if you get Bateman back, I think he'll be right back there putting up them good numbers.
Well, the last Ravens quarterback that gambled on himself was Joe Flacco, and he won a Super Bowl. And you talked about the postseason. Lamar is great in the regular season. He's had his struggles this year, but he will be evaluated by what he does and accomplishes in the postseason. And so far,
100%.
Not a great record in the postseason. That needs to improve, I think, if he really wants that big-time contract, although I don't think he's getting Deshaun Watson money. I just think that was a stupid contract by the Browns. Same with Kyler Murray in Arizona. And the Ravens have smarter ownership and a smarter front office.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're still going to get paid.
We got to reel it in.
He's still going to get paid more than both of them.
We got to reel it in. Look, so we got to keep this thing civil. You guys going back and forth. I'm starting to lose faith in that you guys are on different sides. It's just a bunch of love going back and forth here. I need true debate.
Get an agent.
Look,
get an agent.
There you go. There you go.
You've lost millions already. That's my point.
He has
You're
not
doing any major.
You want to? No, he don't want to give no money to the man. He wants to keep it. He wants to keep it. Okay,
Adam, rebuttal.
Hire a black agent, so you ain't got to give no money to the man.
Keep the family out of it. Hire a professional for your first contract. That's my point, okay? And with that, he has cost himself endorsements.
All right, guys. Well, that was a great
But he doesn't want to do endorsements. The same with Mike Trout. Mike Trout doesn't want to do endorsements. If the only thing Mike Trout wants to do is Bass Pro-Fishing endorsement.
Mike Trout's making $400 million. He doesn't need endorsements.
Some people don't like to do endorsements. Some people don't want to be like Justin Tucker and selling chicken. Some people don't want to do that. I turn down that. I don't want to sell no chicken. I can't sell no chicken to Baltimore.
Here we go. All right. Yeah, I love that.
Win, Reg.
All right. So the judge, first of all, is making opinions of his own. Doesn't represent anything but the Adam Jones podcast. This is not a legal verdict. So one might say it could be biased, but today the judge will come down, and just to give a little recap, Jerry comes in hot with the side of not. The side of he needs an agent, right? We start off the season, it's still early, and then he gets into a little Joe Flacco example and how Deshaun Watson's money, he's not going to see Deshaun Watson, and then Adam jumps in and says, "Hey, Lamar's going to be Aaron Judge, and he's going to bet on himself. It's still early. We're still in first place. He doesn't need an agent." However, I am going to side with Jerry on this one. Jerry is going to win the verdict. He had a little nugget about players hiring their lawyers. But at this time, we don't really know what's going through Lamar's head. We also know that he's not going to make a deal during the season this year. So
neither are the Ravens.
We will find out who is right in this debate at the end of the year. If Lamar does get Sean, if he gets guaranteed money like he wants, then we will know who the true winner is. But thank you guys for that debate. I love this. I think we're going to be debating a lot more interesting topics and definitely getting a little spicy moving forward.
Oh, yeah. It'll get a lot more heated and probably some cursing involved as well. We're able to do that in this format and platform. All right.
If I have Jack.
Last segment is we wrap up the Adam Jones podcast presented by The Baltimore Banner. Again, everyone head to thebaltimorebanner.com and subscribe. But our last segment is Socially Speaking, and this is where we answer a social media post. We are on Twitter now, folks. The podcast has arrived on Twitter at Adam Jones Pod, at Adam Jones POD. We even have opened reluctantly our DMs, so they're not allowing me to block anyone who calls me a clown, and a lot of you are out there. Before we got started, Adam goes, "Man, you got a lot of haters out there." And I said, when you have strong opinions like me, you're going to have your share of haters. I can live with it. I can also block them on social media, but we're not going to do it at Adam Jones Pod. And Adam, we got a ton of reaction when the Baltimore Banner announced a podcast last week. And there was one tweet that I didn't cheat on, a tweet that I chose to read. It is for you. It's from a gentleman named Marcus Hall. He is on Twitter at B, and I love the underscores, Fianchato. And it goes like this. "Hey, Adam, how can I purchase an Oryx Buffaloes jersey? How does one obtain an Oryx Buffaloes jersey, and who the heck are the Oryx Buffaloes?"
So Oryx Buffaloes, obviously the team I played for in Japan, the team that Ichiro came over. He was the Blue Waves at the time. But to purchase the jersey, I've seen some people in the United States in them. People have tweeted me from Camden Yards in an Oryx jersey. I don't know how you get them, because I had to ask them, can I get these? I ordered like 15 and I had to send them to my family because they can't just go online and get them. The Oryx team would not ship them out to the United States. I don't know why. That's easy money. I mean, but it's really hard to get them jerseys. And for the people that have fought through and got it, I love it and I appreciate it, because it's a very hard jersey to get. And it marks a great period of time in my life. And going over in Japan and living in Japan, submersing myself in a whole new culture. And it taught me a lot, that it humbled me, being a spoiled major leaguer. Go over there and the accommodations aren't the same. It's not the 4 seasons. I stayed at a hotel that legitimately said 2 seasons. And it was a very humbling experience. So something that myself and my family will definitely cherish forever.
Well, a shout out to all our listeners and viewers in Japan, and they are out there. We know that. We want to thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing. Thanks to our sponsors, Jack Daniels. Lots of ways to make whiskey. Only one way to make Jack Daniels. Make it count, Jack Daniels. Please, folks, drink responsibly. Also, thanks to our friends at Be More Around Town. Remember, they have the ultimate inclusive, all-inclusive pregame purple tailgate experience before every home game, including the Browns game coming up. Jacoby Jones in the house hosting open bar, great food. Head to BeMoreAroundTown.com for all the details. Adam has been on some of those trips. He can vouch for it. And also,
amazing.
They really are. And also G-Leaf Medical Marijuana Dispensary, gleaf.com. Free home delivery in Maryland and Virginia for orders over $100 or more. 2 great locations in Frederick and Rockville. gleaf.com. Want to thank our executive producer, Chip Franklin, putting this whole episode together behind the scenes. Go out and subscribe to the Baltimore Banner at thebaltimorebanner.com, folks. Reach us on social media at Adam Jones Pod. Again, the DMs are open, but we're out. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.
Avidaje.
Whatever that means.